Fish is an important cargo. Many trains on the Northwestern Railway carry it. There is even a special train for it. The railwaymen call it the Flying Kipper. Most engines didn't mind fish, but James wasn't one of them. "Who could bear pulling such smelly things?" he shuddered one day. "They're not so bad, James," smiled Arthur. "I think they smell lovely." "You and no one else," muttered James. "You constantly reek of them," he snorted as he left. "Don't listen to him, Arthur," called a duck who was nearby. "I won't, but I wish you would be a little kinder at times," sighed Arthur. "And talk less," muttered Duck. But neither engine got what they wanted. James sulked more and more. One evening, some weeks later, Henry couldn't get steam up. His crew couldn't figure out what was wrong. "Oh, bother!" sulked Henry. "Who's going to pull the kipper if I'm out of service?" The job fell to James. Me? Pull fish? Pah! I won't!" James cried. But it was no use, and early next morning his fire was lit for the early start. James sulked continuously. He was no better when he reached the harbor. "Ka!" He winced as he backed onto the vans. "This smell is horrible!" He waited impatiently as the vans were loaded. He soon had enough waiting. "Come on, let's be off!" he whistled crossly. His whistle was answered. A crane swung around sharply with a crate of fish, but the crate was hanging too low and smashed onto James's boiler. Fish flew everywhere. James was furious and angrily let off steam. His crew removed the fish quickly, and when they had finished, the guard's whistle blew. James quickly set off, still fuming. He ran well, very well, and reached Vickerstown early. James was glad to be rid of the vans. He soon reached Tidmouth again, but the smell of fish hung around him. "Say, what's that smelly thing?" laughed Duck. The other engines joined suit. James pretended not to hear them. His crew gave him a quick clean, yet for the rest of the day, James continued to smell of fish. He had finished work for the day and stood in the shed. His crew, puzzled, cleaned him again. Yet he still smelled. There was still a pond next morning. His crew tried once again to clean him down, but it was no use. "We can't spend all day cleaning him," conceded the driver to the fireman. "I'll get his fire ready," sighed the fireman. As he began to shovel coal into his firebox, James's fireman burst out laughing. "Look! There's a fish in your tender, James!" he laughed. "It must have fallen when the crane smacked onto your boiler. Luckily I spotted it, otherwise you'd make us some kippers! Ha ha!" The driver and fireman guffed as James looked at his buffers in embarrassment. He was glad the shed was empty, but he hadn't noticed Arthur, who had quietly rolled in. The tank engine looked over at James and smiled. "What's up, James?" asked Arthur politely. "I thought you'd be above cooking such smelly things." James went red in the face and tried to hide in a cloud of steam. The end.